Do you want to learn more on how to put money to work in regenerative food and agriculture? Follow our video course via investinginregenerativeagriculture.com/course or in the links below. Now, on to the podcast. Welcome to another episode of Investing in Regenerative Agriculture, Investing as if the planet mattered. A podcast show where I talk to the pioneers in the regenerative food and agriculture space to learn more on how to put our money to work to regenerate soil, people, local communities and ecosystems while making an appropriate and fair return. Why my focus on soil and regeneration? Because so many of the pressing issues we face today have their roots in how we treat our land, grow our food and what we eat. And it's time that we as investors, big and small, and consumers start paying much more attention to the dirt/soil underneath our feet. Before we get started, I've been recording these interviews next to my day job, and I will definitely continue to do so and release about an episode a month. But at the same time, I would love to take this further, share more interviews. There are many more stories to share on investing in regenerative food and agriculture. More depth, improve the quality, maybe even doing some video series. So I started a Patreon community, which makes it easy to support creators like myself. If these podcasts have been of value to you, and if you have the means, I invite you to support me and make this happen. For more information, please find the link to my Patreon account in the description below. And now, without further ado, the interview. Enjoy! Welcome to Investing in Regenerative Agriculture, Investing as if the planet mattered. I'm Koen van Seijen, your host. In these interviews, I'm talking to people who are scaling up the regenerative agriculture sector, either by increasing the inflow of investment capital or by scaling up the enterprises on and in the ground. And by doing so, exploring what it means to be an impact investor in regenerative agriculture. Why my focus on regenerative agriculture? Because the roots of so many of the issues we're facing in the world today can be found in agriculture. From droughts, migrant flows, obesity, social issues, water wars, climate change, hunger, they all have a connection to how we treat the land, grow food and what we eat. I hope you will enjoy this interview as much as I did making it. If you have any comments, please share them on SoundCloud or Twitter. And if you think this content is relevant or interesting for someone else, please feel free to share the interview. You're going to listen to an interview with Geert van Veer, co-founder of Herenboeren, a movement in the Netherlands where they bought a farm with 200 families and hired a farmer to farm for them in the most sustainable, regenerative way possible. We're going to talk about how he started, why he started this movement, and more importantly, what he's trying to do to scale it and to get to 100 farms in the Netherlands and to a few thousand in Europe. Enjoy! Welcome to Investing in Regenerative Agriculture, Investing as if the planet mattered. I'm Koen van Seijen, your host, and in the podcast of today, I'm joined by Geert van Veer, co-founder of Herenboeren. Welcome, Geert.
Thank you. Hi, Koen.
So to start with a personal question, and of course we would love to know more about Herenboeren and the movement, but what made you start Herenboeren and why regenerative agriculture in the Netherlands for you?
Yeah, it has to do with my experience during my since I was working with the Farmers Association here in the Netherlands. I've been working there between 1998 and 2003, and I discovered a lot about the way we are producing our food here in the Netherlands, of course, in Europe and in the world. And I saw that things should be different done than it's been doing today. So that's why I was trying to do it I was trying to change from within the organization, and that took me so much effort that I thought that I want to do it differently. So I left the association, started to work on projects on short chain relationships between consumers and farmers. And I did that for a couple of years, and also I there discovered that starting with the producer is not always the same as starting to work with an entrepreneur. And so I discovered that it's difficult for farmers to change their business model, to change their way of thinking. It's also a cultural thing within the agricultural sector. That I thought, okay, I've seen a lot and I've done a lot, and right now I have to do one thing. I have to develop my own farm concept that shows the world, shows the Netherlands that it's possible to do it differently, and the best way of having some impact is to do it. So then we started the Herenboeren movement, as we speak of it right now, and we opened the first farm in 2015 we in Boxel, and right now we are having about 20 farms, as in families who want their own farm here in the Netherlands. We are helping to build that farm, so it's more than just one spot at the moment.
Yeah, you definitely, from the beginning, and I remember the conversations we had a number of years ago, that there are many examples where people get together and maybe start farming or buy something, etc. But what really, for me, set you apart is that from the beginning, you said this needs to scale. We need to get to 100, we need to get 200, we need to go to 2,000 farms that are operating in this way. So from the beginning, you really designed it with scale in place. And at the moment, there's one really operative, and there are about 20 that are in different phases of getting there. But can you explain, let's take the one that's already operational.
Yeah.
What is it? What's the scale? What is so different from the neighbors that are still farming traditionally, and how does it work?
Okay, the basic principles are quite simple. There are 200 households representing 500 people. These households, they became a member of our cooperative, and they did an investment of 2,000 euros per household, and they brought also together 400,000 euros. And that amount of money we spent on, we invested in the first costs we had to make to start the farm. And the farm is a farm which produces a lot of different products. So we have fruits, vegetables, we have meat, as in chicken, pork, beef. We have eggs, and we try to within these different product groups, we try to have as much as possible variety. So we have 12 different apples, 8 different pears, etc., etc. So, what the members do, they bring on an annual base all the costs together by the contribution they pay to the cooperative. So each mouth in a household, in a family, each mouth pays about 10 euros each week, and gets in return for that, he gets the products from our farm. And compared to the supermarket, that's a lot cheaper. So he gets more products by paying the company.
And a lot nicer and healthier products, I imagine. A lot more sustainable from a mixed farm that doesn't hardly exist anywhere else.
Exactly. And
so to summarize, all the members of the cooperative pay at the beginning a fixed fee of 2,000, and then after that they also guarantee for a number of years their offtake. So they pay a contribution of 10 euros a week per person, and for that they get, if I remember correctly, about 60% of their daily needs when the farm is fully operational and fully producing these 12 types of apples, etc., etc.
Yeah, exactly. And to be more concrete, they are committed for 3 years in the beginning, and of course they can stay a member as long as they want. But in the beginning, they are committed for 3 years, and that makes it possible to start this farm, because in the beginning it's not up and running completely. So that commitment we needed, but it seems to be not even a problem to find the people who are this committed to the concept. So it has to do with 2 things. It has to do with the community feeling, being together, starting together, something that makes the world a little bit better in your own benefit in this concrete. And the other thing is that we are trying to improve our techniques in the way we produce the food. So it has to do with the way we keep our livestock. It has to do with the way we are producing vegetables, etc. a lot of permaculture influence on our farm. Agroecology is the main principle we work with, and so on. You can say that it's not only nice and fun to be a member of the cooperative, but you can also have a lot of influence on the way we are producing. So actually, the entrepreneurship of this farm is not on the level of the farmer, but it's on the level of the cooperative, and every member is the entrepreneur of our farm.
And in terms of, you mentioned him or her now very briefly. Who's the farmer? Who's doing the farming? Is that are those the people in the cooperative, or is there somebody else doing the day-to-day work, a professional?
Essential part of the concept is that we did not want to be. We wanted to be independent of voluntarily activities. So there is a farmer who is getting his money from the cooperative.
A fixed salary, which is nice for. It's very different from many farmers. I can imagine.
He's not having the risks or the benefits of the farm. That's what the cooperative members together have. So he gets a salary, to be concrete. So that's one farmer, and he has on a yearly basis there is an amount of money he can spend on hiring more people to work on the farm if necessary. Because there are a lot of members who want to work on the farm. There is no necessary element that they have to come to work on the farm, but
if they do, of course, it saves costs, which benefits the cooperative. Yeah,
exactly. So basically, the daily work it's the farmer who is doing the daily work. And he's the manager of the farm, and he can hire more people, or he gets his people from the community working on the farm.
And to dive a moment into the farm itself, can you describe the size? Did you buy the land first of all, or did you rented it or leased it? What can we see on that farm that's so different from the neighbors?
Okay, we have a farm of 20 hectares, and we didn't buy it because that has to do with the philosophy of our movement regarding to ownership of land. We did not want to have someone or an organization to have an exit. So for the benefit of the person or the organization, I will sell my land. No, that's not possible. We altogether at this moment we rent the land from a foundation.
And that's a long-term rent, I can imagine.
Exactly. So that's the way we are gaining our land. Like I said, it's 20 hectares, and what you can see 3,000 trees in the orchard. You can see 30 pigs and about 25 cows for our meat, and we have 1,000 chickens. We have 4.5 hectares with vegetables, etc. So that's
and you're rotating them. You're in a system, right? In a process to make sure the different parts of the farm benefit from each other and are not in silos.
Yeah, not just rotating them, we're also mixing them. So our chickens are working for us in our orchard, and our pigs are doing some work on the field. For example, after we have harvested our potatoes. So there are always more. We do not need to invest in machinery or something. Our animals can do a lot of work.
Symbiotic relationships. Yeah.
Exactly.
And animals, like Joe Salatin says, they don't break down. They don't need fossil fuel, but at the end of the day, you can still sell them. So they're
exactly, and even stronger. It's also something Joel Salatin said. They grow on it. So you also are saving some costs on the other hand on the feed you need for the animals. So there is just a win-win.
And in terms of this specific farm in Bokstel, where are you at? You started in 2015. What would you say? What point have you reached now, and what are the next steps?
Okay, right now. What you see is that the main principle of the concepts are really working right now. So we have We have our members. We are seeking 200 households. At the moment, we have 144 households committed to our concept, and we are still growing. So that's going very well. And in this second full season we are producing right now, we start learning a lot and gaining a lot of insights for the next season. We have a lot of luck this year with the climate, with the weather. Everything is growing really beautiful. So we are being complimented for the quality we are delivering at the moment.
Because last year was horrible.
Yeah,
right? I remember a drought that and water and everything went against you basically.
Yeah. So some people said, well, last year they said when you're surviving this year, you can beat every other year that's coming. And this year we are very lucky, really lucky. So we are very lucky this year, and so that makes the people happy. Literally, they have invested in the concept because they believed it. They had a hard year last year, and right now it's a beautiful year, and they have beautiful products. So that gives us the space in time and thinking of how to improve our techniques, how to. Me myself, I'm studying on nature. What can nature bring for us? Insights or techniques we can scale, we can transform into a technique of producing, and can these techniques be scaled to a level of a complete farm? Or so I'm the time I have right now I spend in watching YouTube videos, reading books, following courses myself to improve all the knowledge we need to restore the ecosystem of our farm, and the vision we are developing in the last couple of months is more and more that we have the responsibility for the complete ecosystem, and yes, this ecosystem is also producing our food, and that gives us a lot of thinking of how we can improve biodiversity. What can we do more for our soil as we're doing already? What can we plant in terms of wood, like trees on the farm, more as we have already, and that makes us because the production is going so well, we can think about these themes, and that gives a lot of hope for next year.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. And let's talk a bit about scalability and replicating this model. How did you start with that? I mean, it's one thing to start in one place, but it's another thing, and a whole completely different thing to, from the beginning, actually have scalability in mind. Can you explain a bit what's your vision there, and what's happening actually now on the ground with all these other cities and villages that are somewhere in the process of setting up their own Herenboeren?
Yeah, exactly. Well, what's happening here in the Netherlands, and I think I see that all over Europe and in other places in the world as well. There are a lot of entrepreneurs working on their own concept, and how big they are as an entrepreneur. Problem here, at least in my surroundings, is that there are always forces you need, as in politicians or other or government or etc. They are telling you constantly, okay, what you're doing is nice, but it's not the solution for all the crisis we are dealing with within the sector at the moment. So it's a kind of the point of, okay, nice try, but you're not I can't take you seriously. So when we started thinking of this farm concept, we had one of the principles we based the concept on was it should be scalable. The moment that it that we would start to scale the model is at the moment that came a lot quicker as we thought. But from beginning on, we were telling all the people, this is not just one farm. We are going to work on at least 100 farms in the Netherlands. And therefore, when we started putting that out, there were a lot of organizations and foundations, government, but also our universities who said, okay, this is probably the first concept in the Netherlands that is trying to not to stick to a farm for own benefit. This is a movement, and with this movement, maybe we can make a change. And I hope we are an example for a lot of that it can have that function to be an example for a lot of other people who say that they want to scale their movement themselves, because it's not our movement that can make the change. We should go work together with a lot of other people who have the energy and the time to build their own movement. But I think we are having the benefits of being one of the first, if not the first movement in the Netherlands that is working on scale from the beginning, and that brought a lot of attention from the beginning on, even when there was not even a farm in Boxtel. So just putting out the wish to grow was enough to get all the attention. And then when you get the attention, there is a kind of snowball effect. We engaged, and that made the whole thing move. As in, we started in Boxtel with also little things as a website and a Facebook and Twitter. And you're sending out a message, but the other hand is that you will be found. And we were found by a lot of people also in the cities and other places in the Netherlands, and they started asking us, please give us a farm nearby as well. And that was in the phase that we didn't even have one farm up and running.
And what was your response to that when somebody asks, I'm living in Amsterdam or I'm living in Utrecht, which is not, just for the people listening, not super close to Boxtel, and I would say I want something like this near my place. What was your answer? What is your answer when somebody asks that?
Yeah, first of all, the answer is follow us, join the movement, and if you want to have your own farm nearby, you have to work yourself, because we are not like a traditional
McDonald's franchisee, no, copy paste, no.
Exactly, it's not our goal. It's not our goal to create 100 farms. We are preparing our organization to service people who want to have their own farm. So there is always energy needed from local people, and if there is no energy locally, we are not going to introduce ourselves over there. So the main thing we respond to people is, okay, you want to have a farm, start up your community, start to find soulmates who also want their farm in our concept. And when you have at least, actually we're already starting to work together from a group of 6 households locally who said we are really going to pool on this project. We are going to find these people, our soulmates, who also wants to have their own farm. And when we have found these 4 of the 6 families, we are starting to make a little contract, and from that contract on, they have the responsibility to find at least 150 households, members, families, and we, on a parallel, we are trying to find the ground, the soil, the land. That's what we are trying to find at that moment, in a parallel from the seeking on the families, and we're also trying to find the farmer, because we have one challenge here, and that is that our farmers are always specialized in producing one product, and on our farm they have to do about everything that exists in that way. So that are 2 parallel things we're starting up, and every time they reach a new milestone, like the first milestone is at 100 families, we can also take another step, and that step involves an investment from our side in money, in energy, in time. So every time they reach a milestone, we can have another step towards make the farm concrete.
And as a customer or as a part of a cooperative, does the food get to my place? I know I don't have to work on the farm if I don't want to. There's no obligation. If I want to, of course, I can do my gym and work out and help the farmer. If I don't, the food will still arrive. Can I choose my products? What if I don't like something? How does that concretely work?
Okay, what we do is once or twice a year we are sending out this form to our members on which they can apply what they want that the farm should produce the next season. So we are really getting back. So about 80% of the forms we get in return, and we are analyzing these forms on the products for the next season. That's the main reason we do that is for the vegetables. So that's the way people get influence on what the farm produces, and we're also organizing little events for people to test the taste of our food. So that has more to do with the meat production. Is this the kind of meat I want to eat? Is this the right species of pigs or chicken we want to have here on the farm? And in that way, we are gathering the information out of the community depending on what we are producing and how we are producing it, and that gives us an average production. So we are not producing on a personal level your wishes, but we have an average production all over this community members. And when the products are ready, it's the choice. It's up to the community what they want. Do you want to come to the farm and pick up your food, or do you want us to arrange pickup points, or do you want us to arrange the delivery at home? At this moment, 95% of our members, they want to come on a weekly basis to their own farm. They say, you are not going to keep me away from my farm. We want to come over here and we want to get our products. And what we do concrete is that people at a Saturday or a Wednesday afternoon, they come on the farm and they really pick the vegetables from the field while they're still growing. So we are cutting them off in front of our members. So we are harvesting our products in front of them. So they really choose what they want to eat.
But just to be clear, if they don't want that in the budget, in the plan, it can still arrive at home. There's for the percentage of people that don't want to go every Saturday to their farm, the food is delivered at a pickup point, or how does that work if I'm a more lazy farmer?
At the moment, the cooperative decided that while 95% of the people wanted to get to the farm every week and pick it up, so in Boxtel we are not did any preparations for other delivery services. So right now at the moment you can feel the conversation is restarted.
With new people joining, they might be a bit less involved. So there will be a solution decided by the cooperative to make sure
exactly
the food gets to the right places.
And the people who are already member for a longer period, I experienced that there is it's quite nice for a couple of first times to get to a new place and a new concept and what we see right now is that convenience is also something we have to deal with.
Yeah, no, sure. I can imagine. And I want to be very conscious of your time. I want to end with a question which I might open a can of worms, but what is the role, or could be the role, if there is, of impact investing, of investment money into a system like this? It seems to be very focused on the local energy, local resources, because people actually put the money up front to rent the land and to prepare the land for their farm. Is there a role you see in the scalability, in the businesses on top of maybe 100 farms? What do you see as if there's a group of smart impact investors hopefully listen to this podcast and they say, I want to do something in this, not just being a customer, of course, you should start your own farm locally close to your city, but what can be their role with their investment amount?
Yeah, I see two main different goals. First of all, there is a goal. We have to buy the land sometimes. We're not buying the land locally with the cooperative, but on the central organization, Herenboeren Nederland, we are on the market to buy land, so we can hire it to the cooperative. And sometimes when there is no foundation we can hire the land from locally, we have to buy, we are on the market, so we are looking for people
to help with that.
So that's the first thing, really buy land with us. That's the first thing, and more on a more basic and more necessary on the short term is that this movement is growing so fast that we feel our organization is having problems to keep up with the growth coming from the outside.
Keeping up with the demand, yeah, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, exactly. It's luxury, but you can see that our break even from the national staff organization is between the 20-25 farms.
Because the break even in this case means, because yes, the farms are a cooperative, Herenboeren itself is a company.
Is a company.
And every farm pays a certain amount every year for all the assistance, for the setting up, etc. to Herenboeren. So you can make yourself sustainable with, you mentioned 25 farms, right?
Exactly. And up till that moment, we need funding to get our organization up and running. So that's also part. We are very curious to find some investors to join us, not just for making a lot of profit, because that's not the goal of our organization. Our profits are more than just financially. We are producing happy people and a lot of biodiversity, nice food, and yes, we also have a financial chapter. And I'd like to invite people to come and watch in that chapter what we can do together. And well, a lot of money is needed to get this as big as I think it can be. But from 20-25 farms, there is a point that it will be sustaining
and propelling. Yeah, it will start growing. Because you have a lot of interest from abroad, I can imagine. I mean, there are a lot of similar situations are happening in the UK, in France. The agriculture is the traditional chemical agriculture is under pressure, and
we have a lot of journalists and other interested people from a lot of countries in Europe at the moment, and therefore I think, but yeah, it is our concept. So I hope I may say that I think this deserves embraced and put a little bit further as it is right now, and we cannot do that alone. We need a lot of other people, and I think not only just in the Netherlands.
I want to thank you so much, Geert, for your time and sharing your lessons learned in setting up this new concept, this different concept in terms of agriculture, consumers and prosumers, everything in between. And I will definitely be checking in to see how the others are setting up and to check in on projects abroad, etc. to follow Herenboeren as far and as long as possible.
Yeah, you're really welcome to do that. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
You just listened to an interview with Geert van Veer. We talked about how to scale a movement built on active consumers, how to get it to all of the Netherlands and how to get it to Europe as well. Because without scalability, we're going to be just doing small scale farms, and that isn't enough to really get the change we need. Thank you for making the time to listen to this podcast and making it all the way till the end. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you have any comments or ideas for future guests, please share them on SoundCloud or Twitter. And if you think this content is relevant or interesting for someone else, please feel free to share the interview. And I hope to see you again here soon for more of these type of interviews. If you found the Investing in Regenerative Agriculture and Food podcast valuable, there are a few simple ways you can use to support it. Number 1, rate and review the podcast on your podcast app. That's the best way for other listeners to find the podcast, and it only takes a few seconds. Number 2, share this podcast on social media or email it to your friends and colleagues. Number 3, if this podcast has been of value to you and if you have the means, please join my Patreon community to help grow this platform and allow me to take it further. You can find all the details on patreon.com/regenerativeagriculture or in the description below. Thank you so much and see you at the next podcast. Dear friends of the podcast, I'm super excited to share with you the online video course Investing in Regenerative Agriculture and Food. How to put money to work in regenerating soils at scale and growing a lot of tasty food while doing it. Why are we doing this course? After 100 interviews and more than 100 hours of audio asking the question how to put money to work in regenerating soils, and have been following the space since 2011 and recording these podcasts since 2016, we thought it was time to share our lessons learned. What have we seen in the space over the last years? How have we built our decision-making framework? What to focus on with the podcast? How have we picked interviewees? What questions should you ask? What is happening in the space? What should you read? What should you listen? What should you watch? How to approach this space. For whom is this course? You, the soil builders and investors in this space. The soil builders, people working in this space, entrepreneurial farmers, fund managers, vehicle builders, crowd investing, platform builders, agtech companies, farm-to-gut food companies, permaculture, keyline designers, holistic management consultants, etc., etc. People that are building soil at scale. And the investors who are putting their own money to work through their family office or as private individuals, or people who are putting other people's money to work through foundations, institutional capital, banks, insurance companies, etc. Is this course free? No. This is pay what you think it's worth. Meaning, I have no way of knowing what this course will be worth to you. And I'm very aware that among the listeners of this podcast, we have people with very different means. So I'm inviting you, if this course is creating value to you, and if you have the means, to consider paying what you think it's worth. Thank you. So what is this course? It's currently a series of 17 videos, mostly ranging from 10 to 15 minutes, plus PDF slides, so you don't have to ride along. We're going to look into why invest in regenerative agriculture and why extractive agriculture is so risky, how to invest, what kind of frameworks you could and I think should build, what to invest in, what kind of co-investors you could find, or what kind of investors you could find if you're a soil builder. Every lesson will have a digging deeper part where I will share what kind of reports, what kind of interviews, what kind of videos you can look into if you want to dig deeper. We're going to look at nutrient density, landscape design, and a lot more. So what is it not? It's not a list of investable deals. Unfortunately, that doesn't exist in this world. We're really at the beginning of the regenerative agriculture and food revolution. It's also not investment advice. Before making any investment, please find professional investment advice. So get ready, get a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, or whatever you're drinking. Click on the link below, sign up, and I'm really looking forward to your feedback.